All right, here I am at the end of the season. I need to mess with the difficulty settings and the sliders and what have you because I was able to go undefeated in the last game against the 49ers. You could see right there it was 24-7, and I think they have like an 88, 89 overall team, and it wasn't extremely difficult. I did get sacked a lot. I didn't fumble or lose any fumbles, didn't throw any interceptions, and that helped. But I didn't feel any worry once I got the lead about losing. But other games were a bit different. Uh, Take a look at the schedule here. Whoops, wrong one here. Team schedule. Regular season here. I left off at week 10, and here I put it to all Madden difficulty, and it was a bit of a struggle against the Seahawks, Vikings, and Seahawks again, but this one handled it a little bit better than a tough one. Like, just things weren't really working out all too well, surprisingly, against the Patriots. And here is where I decided to mess with the sliders. After this, I will show you the sliders, that how I changed things up because I was looking at people putting more realistic sliders, making it a little bit more fun. And I'll show you that in a moment. But the first time using it, really tough one, come down to the wire. I think it was a field goal within the last 10 seconds to win this one. Not so tough one against the Rams here. And like I said, this one, like I had to focus. They had a good team. A lot of times I had to really focus on third downs because they would make plays, and I just had to make a play every third down. Uh, but I also had a lot of people who were either injured or tired, and so I had a lot of my good players not even playing for a good chunk of the game too. Yet I still handled the 49ers pretty easy, which I don't think should be done. But yeah, let's take a look at what I changed up here. Let's go to the gameplay sliders here. So I turned down my quarterback accuracy. This I have noticed a little bit. There's times where he'll throw it a little low or a little high, and the guy will end up dropping it, especially if he gets hit when that wasn't happening before, even though I didn't change the wide receiver catching. The pass blocking I did put up because it just seems ridiculous that anybody just gets in pretty quick. I don't know if you noticed that, where they can have a Joe Schmo and you have a pretty decent blocker, but they'll consistently get in uh, within 3 seconds. Like I understand, like after 3 seconds, eventually, people are going to get in. But when you're like hike, you look, you're about to throw, and you get sacked or you get hit as you throw consistently. When they just do a four-man rush, it just, yeah. I might even have to change that a little bit, but I know my line's not good, so I'm not going to do that right now. I put the run blocking to 10 because the running, the blocking seemed to be very well. I'm going to show you my running stats. Ball security left alone. Defense is where I needed to help the most. I noticed user tackling is a bit easy, so I agreed with the guy and put it down to 40. Wanted to turn down interceptions a little bit because I'm putting reaction time and coverage up. Because if you noticed, until they update the game, the coverage is trash. Like I let up so many passing yards, like anybody could just pass against my team. I'm pretty sure if I had like Jalen Ramsey and Sauce Gardner and all the top corners and top safeties and the best coverage linebackers, they'd still be able to just pass all day, no matter what kind of coverage I was doing. And with the computer here, they're these things look like they're dropped pretty low, and the accuracy, you notice that it's not even down here at 5. They're still pretty accurate. Just now and then, now you can see that the lower quarterbacks will actually throw bad passes. Like without this setting being this low, bad quarterbacks will throw as if they're all Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning, right? Like how are they doing that? Like every pass, uh, and the computer's pass blocking is just insane. It's like the complete opposite of your pass blocking. They can have just a bonehead offensive line, and you could have some pretty good pass rushers, and it's like you never get in. They have like 4 or 5 seconds to have the ball and roll out. It's it's pretty crazy. The catching is, you notice everybody on the computer team can catch, even when you're decking them. Put it down to 35, they still catch, but now it seems like you can knock the ball out. Like before, is like you hit them, even hit stick them, they still catch it. Here at 35 seems pretty good, where now and then, like I saw one team had a linebacker at tight end and he dropped it, and I was like, well, good, that makes sense. And other times, like I hit stick somebody or get an aggressive tackle when they're catching it and they drop it. And I was like, that's nice that that actually can happen, even though there's some superstars that they'll still make the catch. I'm actually thinking about turning superstar abilities off, if that's actually an option. Ball security, I put down, and this is because the computer doesn't really fumble, especially if you notice the quarterbacks, at least what I've noticed, they'll try to run it, and you'll hit stick them and all this. And not only do they not fumble, they break every tackle. I was noticing the games I was playing, the running backs, like Christian McCaffrey against the Niners, uh, I would hit stick him, I would tackle him, and twice he fumbled it. One I recovered, one they recovered. But I was like, yeah, I was beating on him. But then there was a couple times where Brock Purdy would run, and he would break 2 or 3 tackles, even when I hit stick him, and he wouldn't fumble it. And I was like, that's a bit messed up. Uh, I left their reaction time and coverage the same because I think they cover fairly well. The interceptions are down because not everybody on the team should be able to catch interceptions, especially if you can't do the same. Left their tackling at the same. Uh, Changed the field goal a little bit here for both the computer and for myself. The power, the accuracy, changed it a little bit. Make it a little bit tougher to kick because I'm using the actual regular meter, the traditional Madden meter, not the new one that was from college. So yeah, and I noticed the punting, like there is no real punt power, so we upped that a little bit. This is the injuries. Fatigue put up just because you don't really see the people get fatigued, and I want to have a rotation, especially with the defensive line and stuff like that. The speed threshold, I think this has helped a little bit because I notice the guy I got from the Lions at receiver, Williams, I think his name is there, 98 speed. You actually notice it a bit more. Now the penalties is where you really see things changed a little bit, and I'm using this guy's settings to test him out because he was explaining to put the offsides up a little bit and make the defensive line a little bit more aggressive. And he was saying that both the offense and defense, so you and the computer will jump offsides like 2 or 3 times a game, but you also have to do the fake hut to actually get that to happen. And the false start, turning that down, is actually to stop them from actually false starting because it happens more often than the offsides. It's kind of cheap, but kind of nice at the same time. Holding, this one's dropped down, I guess just to help out with like the pass blocking because there's a lot of times where I was passing and there'd be a lot of holding. Granted, that happens. This you can change, but with the face masking, I do recommend this go all the way up because I had this up for the last 3 games. Haven't seen a face masking penalty. But what this does do is makes the defense more aggressive, like they all going after the tackler uh, a little better. A lot of times their pursuit angles are all jacked up. This seems to have an effect on it. I don't know if it's just in my head and I'm thinking that's supposed to happen, but it really seems to work. The defensive pass interference is down here so that I had a time where I was using the linebacker. The receiver was coming from the right side of the screen across the screen, and he was like doing a dig. I noticed it, and I start running in front of him. The receiver runs into my back, but we're still running. The quarterback throws it to him, and I'm in front of him, but he's running into my back. And all of a sudden, there's a flag. I pick it off and return it for like 20 yards or so, and they say pass interference. And there's been times where I'm dropping back in the zone, and they have a bunch set, and I end up bumping into some receiver, and they'll call, uh, what is that penalty? Illegal contact. So we turned that off. I kept running in the kicker on, but roughing the kicker off because that seems to happen even with the computer sometimes does it. And you can just, it doesn't go by the actual rules of the NFL. It's roughing the kicker if you hit him while he's standing on that one leg. His leg is straight, and if you hit him, he could potentially really injure that leg. So that's roughing the kicker. But if you run into him after the kick, when he's standing on both legs, that's not roughing. So I turned that off. Intentional the grounding. I was wondering why to turn this off, but he was explaining when you turn this off, the computer quarterback acts differently. And I've noticed this a bit as well. It actually makes them a little bit more dynamic where they're not all just standing in the pocket and throwing darts and just throw it away or whatever, where they're all just pocket quarterbacks. They'll actually try to scramble. I don't know why, but when you turn this off, they'll try to roll out and try to make a play like that. So it makes them look a little more like a user, which is kind of nice. So that's why I'm doing these settings. Granted, I might change these things a little bit. I kind of experimented with them with these last 3 games. I do notice playing defense is a little better because of the coverage. Still allowing up tons of pass yards, but it actually plays better. And we'll take a look at that as I go through some stats here. First player stats here. This is my season. Not too insane, but this is a pretty good year. 28 touchdowns to 8 interceptions using Joe Milton. 73% completion percentage, 75 yard long. Sacked way too much, 53 times. Try to work on that. Maybe it's just I gotta set up my protections better or something. But yeah, he played the whole season. Nobody else threw a pass. Rushing, as you can see, even with putting the blocking down, still a 7-yard average for Connor, 7.1 with Benson, 8.9 with Dell, 8.9 with Harrison. With the few runs with Milton, it's a 5.7. Williams, 8.3. Estime is the only one below 4, and it's still pretty good at 3.8. Not great, but it's not really horrible. And Connor with 29 touchdowns there. I don't know if that's a rushing touchdown record. I thought it was 28. So maybe that is. I'll end up checking. 3 fumbles. Milton has 9. A lot of strip sacks. 42 broken tackles. A good amount of yards after contact, but like I say, with these guys, a lot of times what I do is I look for the safeties in the corners and try to run them over. I will try to run away from the linebackers most of the time unless they got a safety in there at linebacker or they just got small linebackers. But I try to get the big guys on their small guys. Marvin, Harrison, and Dell were basically my slot receivers. That's why they got the most receptions. Williams and Mitchie were the outside most of the time. They have less catches. Uh, and then Jones has been coming in a bit more because of needing substitutions. Connor's been a dump off. And that's why he doesn't have a lot of yards, but he does get a pretty good amount of catches. Hopefully next season I'll be able to pass a bit better. Feel a little bit more confident with it. Develop that offensive line. Maybe I'll end up signing some players, trading for some offensive linemen and whatnot. Blocking. I wish I showed Pancakes so I could compare a bit better. Uh, this guy was not even a starter, and he let up 11 sacks. But I think he's hurt now, so I don't got to worry about him being in. Williams is actually my starting right guard. Not that he's done. Well, he's done actually a lot better. My safety's leading with tackles. I think if he wasn't out for about 4.5 games or so, he would have more. Tackles for loss. It's actually not bad. He's actually been out for the last, I think, 3 games or so. He's out for 2 more games. Which is good at that. I have a bye week going undefeated, but I think he would do a lot better if he wasn't out for the last few weeks. Don't have anybody with 10 sacks, but you can see it's pretty spread out where you can't just focus on one guy. I think that's a pretty good rookie year. 7.5 sacks. Bunton with 4 interceptions, Mitchell with 3. Collins started off the season doing pretty good, but nothing since then. Spread out with interception. I noticed lately I haven't been getting really many interceptions, probably because I turned it down. Deflections, forced fumbles recovered here. I don't think I've gotten a block since I put it to all Madden. Like all Madden, it's like you can't get blocks. I have got a couple safeties, but not since all Madden, I don't think. No defensive touchdowns. Kicking, perfect throughout the regular season. Punting, I guess not too bad for only 10 punts. 2 inside the 20, 1 touchback, 52-yard long. But it's punting. Nobody cares. Randomly, this guy got put in to kick return in place of Dell. And I was doing pretty well with him, so I just decided not to mess with it. Even though Williams gets most of the returns, the biggest one came from using Dell. Probably put him back in there. His average ain't all too good. I've been doing better with him on punt returning. I think his average is low because I still will try to return it, even though I should probably try to fair catch it because there's a guy there. But I'm like, if I can just make him miss, it's going to be big, and I never make him miss or break the tackle. All right, so coming over here to team stats. Let's look at total yardage. Total yardage leading total offense. It's the Chiefs, and I am 5th total offense. Chiefs are top in passing. I'm down there. I don't know. What is this? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so it shows 11 teams, so I'm at 10 there. Rushing offense. Cowboys actually at the bottom. Ravens make sense that they're at the top. I'm right behind them, just above the Texans. Points per season. I mean, points per game. Yeah, 30 points per season would not be good. Chiefs barely beat me out. Passing touchdowns. Chiefs, I'm not even up here in the top 11. But I'm not in the bottom 11 either. Top touchdown. Rushing touchdowns. Top of the league here. First downs. Second in the league. Tied with the Cowboys. Just below the Chiefs. All right. Defense. Total yards. Second. Passing. Oh wow, my passing has improved where I'm not in the top 11 worst teams anymore. Allowed less than 1,000 yards rushing, 3,500 passing yards. Bengals allowed 2,000. Wow. Points, 330, fourth in the league. Rams did the worst. Bears with only 8 sacks. Steelers had 45, led the league with 45. I had 37, so I met my quota of 30. Fumbles, third in fumbles recovered. That's pretty good. Second interceptions. So I might be top. No, I'm tied here with Cowboys at least with turnovers caused. Lead in league with third down conversions. Even though ever since I put it to all Madden, it dropped by 1%. Browns at the worst. Fourth down conversions ran with the worst. I'm tied with the Eagles at 90%. 4 for 4 on 2-pointers. Red zone efficiency. The Bears at 73%. Chargers at 42%. So I'm somewhere in between. 57. I raised it up a little bit, but still need some work. Now defensively, still top in the league in red zone defense at 38%. The only team below 40. Penalties, yeah, of course, that's how that's going to work. Turnover differential. Can't even talk. Third, it's pretty good being +9. Still a bit too many turnovers, a lot of them from fumbles. Didn't throw a lot of interceptions, but did get strip sacked quite a bit. But let's see who led the league in takeaways. Tied with the Cowboys with 24. So that's that with that. Let's look at season awards. I think I only had a couple weekly awards, so let's just go to weekly. Of course, Mahomes going to be MVP. Got June Jones, the coach of the year. Yeah, I think if you go undefeated, that's going to happen. Offensive player of the year looks like it's Connor for the NFC, which is pretty cool. Defensive player of the year is Parsons. Rookie of the year, Caleb Williams. Missed out with Harrison. Defensive rookie of the year, I don't even know who this is. Jared Verse. Well, good for him. He beat out Mitchell. Best quarterback, Goff. All right. Of course, best running back, 29 rushing touchdowns. Best receiver, Ayuk. Didn't really notice him in the game I played against him. That is crazy how Beecham is the top guy here. But that's cool. He's a backup. But best O-line. Good for him. Best defensive lineman, Parsons, and I don't have anybody there. Or at linebacker. So this Verse guy is a linebacker. Oh, at least Mitchell got the best DB. Beating out Terrion Arnold. I think he was the second drafted corner in this year's draft. Kicker. I got beat out by Aubrey. I'll check his stats. He better have just more field goals or something, because I was at batting 100, or 1,000 I should say. So let's go take a look at that. Oh, okay. 16 for 16. I think he had more field goals. I was like, what, 14 for 14? Oh, one more field goal. Good for him. So that is the stats. 17-0 probably shouldn't have happened, so definitely got to mess with that difficulty. just show you my injury report. Froedholt, 2 weeks. Davis, 1 more week. Oh, so he should be back for the divisional round, which will be good. Not good for a big guy like him to have a dislocated ankle. This guy with an upper arm fracture. He's only going to miss 2 weeks. Well, that's pretty tough. So that's that. I'm going to mess with the settings. Anybody got good idea for settings? Share them. I will be trying to go live playing my game in the divisional round. Try to put it on Twitch. My Twitch channel I just kind of started up, and I'll just start using is the Dog Deuce, in case you're interested. Not that there's really anybody following me on this, but just in case you're interested to watch a pretty average Madden player play Madden. I'm actually also thinking about, for the next season, changing, the settings up a little bit and actually putting the quarter length up a little bit. Maybe to like 8 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes. So I can get some defensive stats. Because you'll notice, like, the computer. Let's see if I can see this here. Like, you look at their tackles. You get 3 guys with over 130 tackles. But I have a guy with just 80 tackles as my leading tackler. And I think it's because you don't play as long as a game. Like, they're playing simulated 15-minute quarters while you're playing 6-minute quarters. So that's that. With that being said, don't forget, you never know when your time's up. This is all fun and what have you, but you never know when you're going to meet your maker. So you might want to prepare to do just that. And his judgment of you is condemnation, because the standard for actually entering into heaven is perfection. It doesn't matter if you think that's fair or not, that's how it is. You don't meet the standard. Because the people in heaven, not only are they sinless, they don't desire to sin. So even if you don't act on your sinful desires, you still have those sinful desires. If you're being honest with yourself, you might want to cuss me out right now just because you want me to shut up and just talk about football. It just shows your nature, right? And this is why you're not fit for heaven. I'm not fit for heaven. But God loves us, and He wants us to be with Him forever, so He paves a way for us. He did everything that was needed. He lived the perfect life we couldn't live, and He gives that to us at the cross if we are willing to accept His condemnation of us and just lay down our life there, accepting the fact that we cannot earn heaven, we deserve hell, and then He will give us heaven for free by giving us Jesus' life in exchange for ours, where He will take on our condemnation, and then we get His perfect eternal life and His righteousness to allow us to walk into heaven. So, thanks for watching. Take care.